I'm John Mulaney, finally a name on this show. I had a great day. I hope you're all well. I'm flattered to be here. I was walking downtown today. I was on West 12th Street. I was downtown. I was walking towards this guy. He's walking towards me. He's on his cell phone. We're both downtown. We're on West 12th. As he walks past me, I hear him say, "No, I can't meet right now. I'm way uptown." And then he looked at me and he winked and he kept walking. That guy should be declared mayor of New York City. I don't care if he's had a scandal, automatic mayor, and he probably has, if that's how he conducts himself on a day-to-day basis. If he's lying about his whereabouts at 2 o'clock on a Saturday while I high-fiving random guys on the street. I was glad I noticed him. I normally don't notice people. I zone out constantly. Have you ever zoned out for a few minutes? I've been zoned out since 2014. All day long, I wander into traffic, walking like Charlie Chaplin, listening to a podcast while thinking about a different podcast. I can zone out anywhere. I was at the doctor's office. He was reading me the results of a blood test. It was important. I listened, and I zoned out. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stare at the wall and think my thoughts. I was like, none of the Beatles had mustaches. But then one day, all of them had mustaches. That's weird. I can't think of a time a group has done that. Some people in my life don't want me to zone out as much. They want me to focus, and they want me to be in the moment, and they want me to do this by meditating. I don't know if you've ever tried meditating, but I've been trying it. This is how you meditate, okay? You sit on the floor with your back perfectly straight, which I hate more than ISIS, and then you take deep breaths. I don't like sitting up straight, all right? It's never gonna happen. If meditating was sitting hunched over on the toilet with your elbow on your knee while kind of looking at your phone, I'd be the Dalai Lama. I don't like sitting up straight. So you sit up straight and you breathe, and this helps you stay in the moment. Don't bother. The moment is mediocre at best. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Let's all try right now. Let's all be in the moment in silence right now. Sucked, right? Not fun at all. That was boring. You gotta zone out. You have an imagination. You have a movie theater in your brain that plays fake arguments that you win. Have you ever just been sitting there thinking about something for like 20, 25 minutes, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm driving, and you remember? You're like, I'm going 75 miles an hour. I have been for a while. I could have changed so many lives. Sometimes my wife, I have this wife, she'll be like, are you watching the road? And I'm always like, I am looking through the windshield. And I'm not gonna hit anyone. But no, I'm thinking about the Beatles. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Night of Too Many Stars. I used to do cocaine. That's true. Me, the person you're looking at. I would smell it up into my nose and I'd get a high from it.
Has 2 threesomes in this movie.
And he directed it.
2. I don't think you guys understand. I've had 1. I guess you probably have none, right?
You are correct, sir. Right. According to the mule, I have a solid 54 years before that window closes. So look out in 2072 for my wish fulfillment movie, The Mulaney. This is from my wife and I. We didn't know if it's a boy or girl, obviously, so this should work for both. But it is a cardigan, or as I call it, a Cardi G. Okay. And is Jewish, and I was raised Catholic, which you could all tell from the moment I walked out.
Where was John Mulaney born?
Chicago. Boring question. When we walk around, it looks like an NBA coach and like a troubled rookie who's like, you know, my Nana drove me to my prom. And he said, no, midget is as bad as the N-word. First off, no.
I think I would get to see Clint Eastwood, like, you know, shove a condom of drugs up his ass, you know, which is like what real drug mules do.
And what Pete did on our way to Denver.
Yes, because I forgot it was legal.
I was just proud of you for using a condom for once.
Yeah.
The worst piece of advice I ever got is very interesting. It was that everyone has HPV, so you shouldn't worry about it. You're definitely going to get it. Walking down West 13th Street the other day. I was walking down West 13th, and this couple is walking towards me. I'm walking towards this couple, and as they walk past me, the boyfriend says to me, "Hey, cool guy." And then his girlfriend went, "Aw, that's mean." And I experienced both the compliment and the insult in real time. So they said, "We can't tell you anything about it. We can't send you a script," which is how a lot of kidnappings begin.
Gives the mule a party for being their best driver ever.
Fulfilling another elderly grandpa fantasy that a 90-year-old white man can do any job better than a Mexican, even when the job is Mexican drug trafficking. We have time for one question.
One question.
Okay.
Psychedelic mushrooms?
Yeah, like how many times?
Yeah, we
No, not recently, not in my adult life.
No?
No.
Little Mulaney tripped?
You?
No, I haven't done them in years.
I haven't done them in years. All right. I feel like you've done them. So I got a call, and I said, "Hello," you know, and they said...
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good improvising already.
Absolutely. Nothing fancy, ordinary hello, right?
Great.
People walk around on SVU going like, "Looks like the victim had anal contusions." Yo, looks like we found semen and fecal matter in the victim's ear canal. Those are two real things that I heard on Law & Order SVU at 3 in the afternoon.
But I have to say, I trust that woman more. I like how she says the subway stops, because she always says them like they're a little secret. She's always like, "The next stop is Chambers Street." Work is not a good thing. Income and food and shelter are a good thing. Working hard is not a good thing. It is the thing that we have decided is a good thing because we don't want to be around our family.
Of an investigation, and Ice-T would be like, "Yo, you telling me this dude gets off on little girls with pigtails?" It's like, "Yeah, Ice. He's a pedophile. You work in the sex crimes division. You're gonna have to get used to that."
How do you get someone to want to ask you out?
Oh, that I don't know.
So I had to keep coming up with excuses for leaving the house. And at this time, I was gainfully unemployed, so it was difficult.
Right.
We're not one of those couples where I can be like, "I just need to drive." And she's like, "I get it, be you." You know, we're not like that. However, he said, "I do not know one of these songs."
Yeah.
And during Like a Rolling Stone, I turned to him and I said, "This is a very famous song." And he said, "Okay." You know?
Lorne Michaels and I went to Jamaica together on vacation for New Year's.
I really want that to be a lie. We walked in, the entire audience is not young. The doctor looks at me and says, "You're peeing 11 times a day. Then you may have something wrong with your prostate. So, what we need to do," some of you are ahead of me.
Did you have any clue that he was suspicious of anything?
No, he never said to me in the elevator, "Guess what?" By a Mexican drug cartel
Run by Andy Garcia.
who was rude to me at a Laker game once.
I remember that. 8 episodes in.
8
20 years
episodes
old.
in,
Yes.
a man, your senior,
Yeah.
goes, "That kid, Jamaica."
Yeah.
Xanax prescription, though. Drugs like that are tricky sometimes. But I talked to a friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, I did this." He said that he had a regular doctor's appointment, and at the end of it, he said to his doctor, "Hey, doctor, sometimes I get nervous on airplanes." And the doctor just wrote him a Xanax prescription. And I was like, "Yeah, that's the type of lowbrow shit I'm looking for. I'll take your advice, friend I've never listened to before." So I go to a clinic, and I go in, and I'm just going to go in for, a regular type of checkup, and at the end, I'll ask about Xanax. So I get to the front desk, and they have a "Why are you here" sheet. And I want to pick something that will get me in and out really quickly. And I look down, and I see frequent urination. And I was like, perfect. That'll be a super quick visit, you know? I'll just be like, hey, sometimes I pee a lot. And the doctor will be like, me too, crazy, right? And I'll be like, I get nervous on airplanes. So I checked off frequent urination, and I sat down in the waiting area, and I waited for 3 hours. I finally go back to the observation room, and in the observation room, there is a male nurse standing there, and he has a Batman sticker on his stethoscope, a Batman necklace, and a Batman watch. He was kind of moving around the whole time, you know? He was just like, all right, I am too blessed to be stressed. Let's do it. What are you allergic to besides work? And then he'd take something and he'd throw it over his shoulder and be like, beats working. Like, all of his jokes were very anti-work, which is not always what you want from a healthcare professional. The doctor comes in the room, and the doctor looks at my chart, and he says, oh, you're here for frequent urination. How many times a day are you urinating? And I tried to think of a number that would warrant a doctor visit. So I said 11. And that was too many times to say. The doctor looks at me and says, you're peeing 11 times a day. Then you may have something wrong with your prostate. So, what we need to do, some of you are ahead of me. So I don't know exactly how he phrased it, but the gist of it was, hey, if this visit is to continue, I'm going to stick part of my hand up your ass. And I didn't know what to say. Because I couldn't be like, no, that's okay. I was lying. It was a lie. To get drugs. You know, like a crime. So what I did was, I pulled down my pants, and I walked over to the observation table, and I put my hands down on the observation table like this. And by the way, part of me was like, whatever, you know? You know those days when you're like, this might as well happen? Adult life is already so goddamn weird. So I'm bent over like this on the table, and the doctor comes up behind me and goes, no, not on your hands, on your elbows, and he knocks me down like that. And this is so much worse than this. I don't know why. I think it's that this has like a little remaining dignity to it, you know what I mean? This is sort of like, go, stick it in, I am an American. This is like you're leaning over the edge of a cruise ship and you're like, we are approaching Martinique. He knocked me down to my elbows. And then he stuck his hand in. And you know how sometimes you're like, I bet I know what most things feel like, you know? You just think you'll know. I did not know what this was gonna feel like. And this was the actual sound I made. I went, oh. But I didn't say it. Like it came from my vocal cords, but it was totally involuntary. It was as if a ghost had been trapped in my belly and finally flew out towards the light. And then, when he pulled his hand out, we've gotten to know each other pretty well. So I will phrase this as delicately as I can. I did not realize that when the doctor pulls his hand out, it feels like you're shitting because the only thing that's ever come out of your butt before has been shit. So, he pulls his hand out, and I thought that I was shitting into his hand. So I yelled, I'm sorry! This is a very routine procedure, by the way, for most doctors. And so far he's had to deal with, oh, and I'm sorry. And he didn't even let me off the hook, you know? He wasn't like, don't worry, you didn't shit into my hand. He just threw his glove away and was like, And I was about to ask about Xanax, but then he said, all right, your prostate's fine, but we still need to do a blood test. So I pulled up my pants and shuffled away, feeling different. And he yells out into the hall, he goes, hey, we're doing a blood test, get in here. And Batman dances back in, and he's like, all right, we're gonna do a blood test. You look different, let's do it.
She showed me a backyard once. She goes, I don't even like this backyard for you. I was like, oh, do tell. She said, it's all pavement. I think you should have some grass out there. You know, in case you have a couple little guys running around in the grass. And I got offended on behalf of my imaginary kids. I was like, hey, lady, I went outside about as much as Powder from the movie Powder. My children are not going to be playing out on grass. They will be up in their rooms playing violent video games and catfishing pedophiles. These are my children, and that's my wife.